Hi, everyone. Welcome to our cook along today on office hours. And today we're cooking again with Damayanti Gajar from her kitchen in Cape Town, South Africa. And we're making recipes from her book, Conscious Cuisine. And we've been going through a series of essential ingredients that can be used in lots of dishes. And today we're going to be making a green masala. And that green masala is going to go into a bean sabzi. And Damayanti will take us through the ingredients before we start. And we also have folks cooking along with us today. So we're really excited. Dennis, happy to have you cooking along with Alex and Damayanti and me. And hopefully there are other people cooking along remotely. So if you're cooking, please don't forget to ask questions. Even if you're not cooking, ask questions, and we'll stop and answer questions during our cook along. So Damayanti, why don't you start by going through the ingredients of both the green masala and the bean sabzi and tell us a little bit about green masala and how else we can use it as well.
Hi, thanks for that, Shannon. So we are making green masala today. And when I think back, if I'd known that we were going to do, this is our 10th cook along, if I knew this was going to be 10 cook alongs, I would have probably done this as the first cook along. But nevertheless, it's still, I think, fine to do it the way we've done it, because the green masala is quite important masala that you will notice as you go along on your cooking journey, that you use all the time, because you may have noticed that we always asking for garlic and chili and ginger, and having this paste will just it will save you a lot of time because it's already all ready and done. I'm slightly concerned about people who are not used to working with chili, because if you're sensitive to it, then I think it would be better if you wore a pair of gloves. I'm quite used to working with chili, so I'm going to use my hands. Alex and Shannon and Dennis, have you handled chilies as they are?
Yes,
Lots
I
of them.
have. I think that the key is just not rubbing your eyes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because my chilies have all got stalks on. Have yours got stalks on? Because we're going to remove the stalks.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, so I've got stalks.
Cool. So it's 125 grams of chilies. And we've got 30 grams of fresh ginger and 30 grams of garlic. So the first thing we're going to do is to de-stalk the chili. So you just snap it off. And we're going to do all of them and place it in a dish, because we're going to have to rinse it. Incidentally, if you buy chilies, to give it a longer fridge life, keep the stalks on, because when you remove the stalks, they tend to go sort of almost black and they go off a little. Whereas if you kept the stalks on, they last much longer. So,
I've never removed a stalk this way. I always cut them off. I never realized how simple that was.
Yeah, I find it comes off. If the chilies are fresh, they come off quite easily. And if you, as I said, if you're storing it, de-stalk it and don't wash them. De-stalk them, put a piece of roller towel, paper towel in a container, and then place the chilies in the refrigerator. And it should keep for quite a few weeks that way.
I noticed my chilies are, even though these are serranos, they are a lot bigger than yours. I weighed them out and they weigh the same, but I think they're bigger, so they were heavier.
Right. Mine are, as you can see, quite small.
Yeah.
But these are quite strong because I made a batch during the week just to test it out, and they're quite strong. So when you make it, I think it depends on the type of chili you're using. When you use the chili paste, just be cognizant of that. Dennis, are yours de-stalked already?
They are.
Oh.
I've got some fairly large ones.
Oh, I see. And Alex? I don't see Alex.
Yeah, I think I have it's always something with me, but I think that I don't have enough. So I'm gonna probably have to mix something else in. I have to admit that I was moving quickly through when I was shopping yesterday, and I thought that I had enough, and now that I look at it, I don't.
But Alex, you don't have to add anything else to it. You just reduce the garlic and ginger proportion.
Okay, that's perfect.
So it's not critical because we're using this weight because in the
We're only using a
cookbook,
little bit of it.
in the proportion you use for a case like this is that the garlic and ginger should make up half the weight of your chili. So you can wing it. If you have less chilies, just put less garlic and ginger in it.
Got it. Okay.
And then we're going to clean the ginger. And I find using the back of a spoon much better than using a knife actually to peel it.
When I learned that tip recently, it was really life-changing. I cook with a lot of ginger, and the spoon just works. I have a little tiny knife, and I always use the same one. And this is amazing.
It is much better, definitely.
And the other thing I was going to note, I love the fact that you put the weights for the chilies and the ginger and garlic, because now that I've been cooking a lot using measurements, using weights, it just does make such a difference, because the difference between this chili and this chili, are very different. And so if someone says 7 chilies, that's a very different experience if you use 7 of these or 7 of those, and weighing just took all the guesswork out of it.
Now, and that's what I realized as we've been doing the cook-alongs, that even cloves of garlic can be quite different. From batch to batch.
So the garlic that I bought recently they were mega cloves. It was
huge. You mentioned that earlier. So if you have peeled the ginger, you can just cut it into cubes. It doesn't matter the shape or size, because it's all going to go into the food processor anyway. It's just to make it
that's a problem for me because I don't have one.
Pardon?
I don't have a food processor.
Do you have a pestle and mortar?
Not to hand, no.
So how are we going to do that?
What about grating it with just with a microplane?
You could grate the garlic and ginger, but you'll have to chop the chilies very finely.
Okay.
And then if you do, Dennis, do you have a pestle and mortar?
No.
No.
Coffee grinder.
Because it's any kind of grinder for the chili. Or unless what you do is keep everything ready, and then I don't know if you do have a processor packed away or something, take it out, or don't you have one?
I don't have one at the moment. That will be something I will get when I move.
Okay, sure. So then what will happen is yours may not be a paste, but it will be bigger pieces of garlic, ginger, and chili. So that will be the only difference. You'll still get the flavoring. So I have cleaned my ginger. I'm going to move on to my garlic. Are we all done with our ginger, Alex?
I'm putting mine together. I don't have a food processor either, but I do have a pestle and mortar, so I'm going to beat it up there.
So have you done your ginger?
Sorry?
Have you peeled your ginger?
I have.
And you've chopped it, cubed it. Okay. So I'm going on to cleaning my garlic now. So I'm peeling the garlic.
I'm sorry, Dimiante, I don't mean to interrupt. Alex, are there any questions so far?
Let me see here. We have no questions yet, but if you have questions while you're watching, let me make sure. Sometimes when I jump into this the first time, nope. If you have questions while we're cooking, feel free to throw those into Makana, and we'll answer them.
I don't know about you, but I can already smell all the spices.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I kept this one for you, Alex, to show you. My garlic has got a sprout.
Oh, it's sprouted. Your garlic sprouted.
It was one of them that was sprouted. I'm going to plant this because then you get garlic chives.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to tell you about that,
That's great.
seeing that we into planting as well.
Yes.
Alex,
I
can
have
we get
not,
an update on your on your lemongrass?
I have not put them into, I haven't put them into anything yet. They're still in the water because I'm going to get around to it this weekend. But,
Okay.
but they are, as you can see, they are thriving, the both of them.
Oh my
Great.
goodness. They
So
look happy.
they're both ready to, to plant, I think. One's got a lot of roots, probably too many, almost too many, and the other one is just getting started and doing well. So
Mine is just still, the little root is just peeking out, and every day I talk to it and coax it to.
I have to admit that there was
grow.
I have this other little herb thing that I got that lets you kind of build them from scratch, and it came with a little bit of food, like plant food,
Oh,
and I
plant
took
food.
just a dab of that and put it into the water, and the wheat, the lemongrass just took off. Like it was just like, and now I have a whole bunch of.
Oh.
It was kind of
So
amazing.
Shannon, maybe you need something like that.
I need that. What was that, Alex? Yeah, I need you to, I need you to tell me exactly what you put in those. Mine's slow going. I am also,
It
it
needs
doesn't
some
get any
hormones.
sun. It gets light, but it doesn't get any sun. I wonder if I moved it outside to where it's more sunny, if it would go faster.
I'm not hearing Shannon.
You're not hearing me?
You're breaking up a little bit for me. Is Shannon breaking up for everyone else, or is it just me? You are.
I'm hearing Shannon okay.
You're hearing Shannon fine. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just me.
So it was
Shannon
30
is
grams
fine.
of garlic and ginger, yeah?
It keeps dropping. The sound keeps dropping.
Yeah, 1/4 of
Dennis,
the
can you
of the
hear
weight
me?
of the other of the.
I can hear you.
Oh, that's smoke. I don't know why I can't hear. Sorry, we're just going to check what's happening.
You're having trouble hearing me?
I think everyone, Alex. I think she was having
No, Shannon,
trouble
you're
hearing.
like for me,
everyone.
you're breaking up.
No, it's completely quiet
She's
now.
not breaking up for. Oh, maybe it's me.
No, no sound.
Try that again.
Dimiante, can you hear us yet?
Now, Dimiante, do you cut the peppers up before you put them into the pestle and mortar?
It would be preferable, yes.
Yep.
But I just want to give all of this a quick rinse in some water and then dab them dry before I put them in the food processor.
Okay.
Dimiante, are we rinsing the peppers now because you didn't rinse them before, or is there a reason
Yes.
to rinse them now? Okay.
I hadn't rinsed mine.
Okay. I had just done a quick rinse before
Okay,
I
cool.
send them.
That's absolutely fine.
Okay.
And you don't want to get water into this paste. You try and avoid having water because you're able to store this paste for quite a while. So I tend to take a tea towel and just wipe the excess water off.
And you said you don't chop the garlic. Is that correct?
I'm not chopping it because I've got a Magimix and it processes it quite easily. I think it all depends on the type of machine you're going to be using
Okay.
to make your paste.
Okay.
And the only reason I have this roll of red chilies here is because you could make a red masala as well. And I'll explain to you what you would use the green and the red for. I'm going to have to go be muted because I'm going to be putting my garlic, ginger, and chili into the food processor, so it's going to make a bit of noise.
And you didn't cut your chilies, but you can, right?
You can,
Okay.
can. But this machine is quite powerful, so it'll be fine.
And this is going
Yeah.
in seeds and all,
Everything.
everything. This will be a spicy.
So Dennis and Alex will have to chop quite finely.
Okay, I'm also going to go on mute so that no one has to hear my food processor.
What you will notice is that you just have to use a spatula and keep going down a little because the chili seeds tend to always stay whole, and you want to crush it as much as you can. Did Shannon, did you or Alex make the savory pancakes again? Or are they muted?
Demiante, how fine are we? I mean, it's a paste. Is that what we're making? Not just chopped, just paste. Okay, I'm gonna
A paste
a
is
paste.
great.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm going for more.
I have not made the savory pancakes again. I don't eat a lot of pancakes, just outside of my normal diet in the morning. I keep on making the eggs, though. The pancakes were a big hit in the house, so they were eaten very quickly last week.
Good. I'm just going to go one more time.
So you said you didn't want to get water in this, so I'm drying the chilies off with a tea towel.
Yes, great. Oh, this is so hot, chili hot. So
Okay. It's
How
taken
you
a while
doing,
in my food processor. Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Demiante. I just wanted to warn everyone, be careful when you're take off the lid because those chilies are really powerful and it's definitely in the air here.
Yeah, so is mine. It's actually quite hot, chili hot.
Whoa.
So I now want to chop everything down as small as I can.
As small as you can.
Okay.
Alex, while we're chopping, are there any questions? And I'm going to go on mute again.
Yeah, we have a question from from Ken Jordan, or a comment. He said, if you have a rolling pin and grease-proof paper, then you can put the cut-up ingredients between folded grease-proof paper and hit them with the rolling pin. Oh, that's a great idea.
That's amazing. That is a very, very good tip.
That's great, Ken.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also Tlaloc Miguel Lopez Waterman in Astoria asks Damianti, how does South Africa influence your food?
If I think about it, I'm the type of person who will cook everything that's locally available. And I try to source my food as close to where I live as possible. And I think in South Africa, if I look at the traditional diet, there's a lot of maize that is used. So I do include maize meal like we did in the pancake last week. Whereas had I lived in India, I would have probably used rice flour in its place. So maize tends to come into your diet quite regularly. Other than that, being vegetarian, there's not much else that I cook that is probably truly South African. There are little baked things that we make like donuts and things which are called cook sisters. And I used to make things like that before, but because it's deep fried, I tend not to do that anymore. Does that answer?
Sorry about that.
No, carry on.
Can we see a close-up of your paste? Okay, great.
You can?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, mine looks very similar. Good.
Okay. So now what I am going to do, because the paste is ready the way I wanted the texture, I'm going to add salt, and the salt will stop it from going black, and it preserves it. So I think you have to be very careful when using this paste in cooking, because you're going to have salt in your paste. So then when you're using it to cook anything, just make sure you add less salt to your food. So it seems an excessive amount. I'm putting 2 teaspoons of salt in here.
That is much more than I thought you were going to say.
Okay. Now 2 teaspoons will do it. And then 2 teaspoons of oil. Also, it acts as a preservative.
And is there a certain kind of oil that you use, just something neutral?
I'm using vegetable oil. What I do is I make this paste, and I will take out a small quantity that I'm going to cook with, and the larger quantity will go into the freezer so that it's always fresh. And if you have issues of it turning a color, you could do a squeeze of lemon on it. And that also will keep the color of your green chilies. It'll keep it green, but not a lot of lemon, just a squeeze. How are you doing, Dennis, with your pestle? No, is it, who's doing the, Alex, you doing the pestle and mortar? Yeah, I can see.
I am, it's working.
Working,
Yeah,
good.
I'm currently
Dennis?
grating the ginger and the garlic.
Okay. Are you going to use that tip about putting it between paper and then using a rolling pin?
I could try that for the chilies.
Pardon?
I could try that with the chilies
Yes.
once I've chopped them up a bit.
Okay. We'll wait for you, Dennis.
And Damiante, did you say 1 or 2 teaspoons of salt?
2.
Yeah, I think in the recipe it says online it says 1.
Oh, okay.
You might want to correct that.
Talak Miguel Lopez Waterman in Astoria also asks, does the word masala have a meaning?
Masala is a blend of spices. So we did garam masala, we did chai masala, and now we're doing the chili, the green chili masala.
So if your recipe says garlic, chili, and ginger, and you have your green masala, you can just use some of this in the right proportion.
That's what's so convenient. So if you're rushed and you don't have time to do garlic, ginger, and chili separately. Oh, I wouldn't taste it, Shannon.
I did. I had to. I always have to taste the chili.
Yeah.
It is very spicy chili.
I was about to say, I was like, I bet you that's really spicy.
Yeah.
You know, it has a really good flavor though.
Yeah, the other thing that is good to do is if you have extra garlic, chili, or ginger, separately I'm talking about, you could make this paste, a paste of ginger, a paste of garlic, a paste of just chili, and then preserve it in the same way with a little bit of salt and oil. And then you could mix and match the way you want it to. That also works. And like I've said before, the term masala is a blend of spices.
I couldn't help it after Shannon did it. I took a little taste of it as well. And it is, it's very spicy.
You are very brave. I wouldn't put it anywhere near my mouth.
It's very spicy, but I like the taste a lot.
It's the blend of the garlic and ginger proportion to the chili that brings about that lovely flavor. It's not just the chili hitting you with that heat. It's the taste of the garlic and the ginger which does it.
Yeah, I definitely can taste that.
Yeah, and you know, when we go on vacation, we often go to places where it's self-catering. And even if you don't refrigerate this, if you're traveling for the day, it travels quite well. I usually take a little bit with me until I get to my destination and then put it into the refrigerator. And when my son was working in the UK, he even took it with him from here. And
Oh, wow.
he took his little container of masala because it just saved a lot of time for him on the other side. Yeah, and my daughter took it to Korea with her when she went to go teach English. So it travels very well, just so that you know.
The other thing, it's the having a little bit of salt in it. I know it preserves it, but it actually it tasted nice. I mean, it had some flavor. The salt brought out the flavor, and it's quite good.
I'm going to show you what my red paste looks like. I'm just going to get it out. I thought I had it out.
I knew someone would come up with good tips. That's a great tip with the rolling pin.
Now that is very handy to know. So if you can have a look, this is my red and green paste that I keep on hand.
Very nice.
That's very nice. That's great.
So
And is
I keep it
the red hotter?
Not really, Shannon, but as I said, it's a personal preference. I like using the red when I'm doing sort of darker foods like your beans and lentils. And the green, I like the freshness when I'm using green, like green vegetables or rice or things like that. So today we are going to use the green one in the beans. That's just because we've made the paste. And sometimes actually I mix the two. Although they're not distinctly different, sometimes you just get that nice blend with the two different. The red, I think the green one is a fresher chili flavor compared to the red. The red is slightly less of a heat, but it again depends on the chili that you've bought. Because in a lot of cases, if you want it really, very hot, some people actually put chili, they mix the chili powder into this paste. But then it is really chili hot. I prefer to have this balance of the garlic and the ginger and the chili. I just feel it's a much nicer blend. Dennis, how are you doing?
Well, I learnt two things. One, you want to fold the ends of the greaseproof paper over so that the bits of chili don't go flying all over the kitchen. And the other, that it crushed them a bit but didn't really break them up. So I'm giving them a bit of a chop now as well.
Okay.
And
Should
maybe
we
for
wait?
I was going to say the recipe, since we don't need all of it for the recipe,
No.
you could just take out a portion of the chilies and chop those, and a portion of everything, and just mix a smaller
Dennis,
amount.
Dennis, we're going to use very, very little of this, like a quarter teaspoon. So that's a good idea, Shannon. Can I just put the ingredients for the beans on my countertop so that we know what we're going to be needing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think so. And I don't think we went through the whole list yet. So yes.
No.
And if you're going to taste it, the after effect kind of got to me, Alex. I don't know if you were feeling it, but I had to get some water. It's just kind of in the back of my throat.
Yeah, it's hot.
And the air, I think I'm going to cover it because I keep on breathing in the chili.
Mm-hmm. Once I put the oil in it, I didn't have as much of that, but yeah.
The strength of the chili actually catches your throat. It does. And you feel like you're going to sneeze.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Dennis, do you think you can mix a small portion for the beans? Or do you still need a little time? I don't think he can hear me.
Yeah, we don't hear you, Dennis.
Apologies, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, so I think I want to chop this a little bit finer and then I'll be ready.
Okay,
So,
sure.
yeah, not long.
And if you have any questions while we're doing this, make sure to throw those into Makana if you're watching. If you have any questions about what we're producing here.
Okay. Well, so while we're waiting for Dennis and he's chopping, maybe we can just go through the ingredients for the beans. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
So I don't usually use tinned beans, but for the sake of convenience, I opted to use beans from tins today because we would generally soak the beans at night. And this is the beans that we cook every Saturday. And, but because we now using tins, I'm just gonna go through the ingredients. So I'm using 2 tins of the red kidney beans. Yeah, 1 tin of
And this can be and this can be kidney or pinto.
It can be any bean. It could even be chickpeas. Pinto is perfect.
And or because I saw kidney / pinto, so I just got one of each just for fun.
That's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Okay.
This recipe works for any bean. And then a tin of crushed tomato. We've got some curry leaves if you manage to get some. If you don't, you can omit them.
And like the last time, is bay leaves an option if we don't have curry?
You could.
Okay. And by the way, I think we might have lost your mic. I think we're
Yeah, I think
suddenly
so
hearing
too.
it's a roomy mic rather than your normal mic, just for hot smoke.
Hot smoke?
Yeah, sure.
You heard that. And then we've got turmeric. Can you hear?
We can
That's
hear you
better.
great now.
Okay. And then ajwan seeds, which are also known as celery seed. And then we've got the dana jeera, which we made 2 sessions ago. The mixture of coriander and cumin that we made. And then, of course, we're going to be using the chili paste, the green masala that we've made, salt, and some oil.
And did we also use garam masala in this one as well?
We are going to.
Right. Yep.
So if you can take out your garam masala and dana jeera that we've made previously, we're going to be needing those.
Great.
Dennis, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I've weighed out 20 grams of the chili, so I'm putting 10 grams of the mixture of ginger and garlic in with it.
Okay, cool.
That should be enough.
You're doing very well. And Alex, you fine with your paste in your pestle and mortar?
I'm all good. Yep. It took a little bit.
Okay.
I got to get a little bit of a workout, but I'm good to go.
And I wanted to mention I've got borlotti beans because I couldn't get pinto beans, and I'm not that keen on kidney beans.
That's also fine. Absolutely fine. And what have you got, Shannon?
I've got kidney beans that I actually this morning I did a batch in my Instant Pot, and I'm just obsessed with cooking beans in my Instant Pot. So anyway, it took 40 minutes and they're amazing. It actually takes a little bit longer, but they're amazing. I had one question about one of the ingredients. So you had said, I think diced tomatoes in the list. You're using crushed tomatoes?
No, mine are diced. Mine are diced, peeled and diced.
You're diced. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
And that's what I have. I thought you said crushed, but I have diced.
What I meant was if you have crushed, it also works.
Oh, got it. I was thinking that. Seems like
Yeah.
they're interchangeable with us.
So now we've got a surprise guest cook in our kitchen. I'm leaving the scene. I've decided to abscond and welcome Hasuk.
I have a quick question before you disappear. With my 30 grams of the mixture of chilies, garlic and ginger, how much salt and oil should I add to them?
I would put half a teaspoon.
Okay. Of each?
Yes.
Thanks.
So can you hear
Hasmukh,
me?
you get to cook along with
Guys?
us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Cool. So
It
this is
sounds a
the
little
only-
roomy. I'm not sure if we're getting your mic or not.
Yeah, I've got Nirali, you can just mute Ba. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you
better?
now.
But roomy, I know. We're using lavalier because it was gonna be 2 of us. So apologies for that. But this is the sugar beans, we call it, or speckled beans that I cook every Saturday. And the reason why I have to cook every Saturday is Damayanti refuses to cook it every Saturday. So the Gadger family, doesn't matter where they are in the world, every Saturday they all cook what we call sugar beans. And normally we take these beans and soak them overnight in hot water so that it's softer. And then the next day I put them in a pressure cooker for about 15 minutes. And then once they're on the pressure cooker, then we will move to exactly what I do with the tin beans. So I'll show you how I cook this beans subsi. Is that okay, Alex?
Yeah, it sounds great.
I'm the surprise cook, so we thought this will take advantage. I have support here if I go wrong, so I'll get a little.
And the reason Hasmukh started cooking is because I just find it very difficult to do the same thing every week. So every week we had this issue of the same bean. The bean doesn't change. It's the same dish. And I get totally bored doing that. So I said to Hasmukh, I think it's time you learn to cook.
And I think I've been eating sugar beans every Saturday since I can remember, probably when I was 10 or 12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah.
So there's no switching up the bean. So you
they're
can't do a
sugar
different
beans,
bean. You
and-
have
and-
to do the sugar beans. Okay.
Yeah, so we call it sugar beans, but it's actually speckled beans. So I'm going to show it to you. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see that. There we
Oh,
go.
yeah.
They're a
Yeah.
little blurry. They're not in focus.
They're not in
Yeah,
focus.
yeah. So there we go.
There we go.
So
There
it
you
almost looks like a pinto from here.
Yeah, yeah,
It is. It is a black pinto.
yeah.
Okay, Pauline.
So Fridays, the only thing the Minty does for me is she reminds me to soak the beans on a Friday night, or she does it for me. So since we're not gonna have the beans in the pressure cooker, we're gonna use these tin beans. So what I'm gonna do is decant what do you call this, Damo?
The red kidney bean.
The red kidney bean. So I'm gonna decant all the water,
brine.
the brine from the, and so if that's what you can do for us.
And I have a question. So I also use the pressure cooker today, but
Yes.
when I do it, I don't soak it. I just do it that day, and it takes, by the time the pressure cooker gets up to pressure and it cools down, it's about an hour and a half to do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what is the advantage then? I like the idea of soaking the bean and then still getting to finish it in the pressure cooker, but what's the advantage of soaking as opposed to just putting it in the pressure
I
cooker?
normally pressure cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I don't take an hour.
Is there an advantage to soaking?
So soaking just accelerates the process in the next day in the pressure cooker.
Okay.
So what you find is that the beans are a little softer the next day, and it cooks quite quickly in the pressure cooker.
And for anybody who's introducing beans into their diet and they haven't eaten beans before, by soaking it at night, it makes it also more digestible. So there are advantages to soaking it overnight.
So has everybody decanted their brine from the tins?
Yes.
Yep. So now, Dennis, you are with us.
I am. Hello.
And Alex, you also ready with your beans?
I am ready with the beans.
Okay.
Right.
So now what we're going to do is switch on the stove on very low heat. So not high heat, but very low heat. So that's what I'm going to do here.
Because we have a gas.
I have a gas, or the Minty has a gas stove. So I'm going to lower the gas. There we go.
Now I did what I normally do, which is that I see if I have it there. There's my pan. But I tend to, when I'm cooking, set it to a low heat and leave it there
Yes.
as I'm prepping, so that I can. The main reason I do that is so that it's uniformly. It doesn't matter here, I think, because we're making kind of a soup, but or something more spread. But If I'm going to
Yes.
fry something or put anything in, I want it to be uniform heat across the entire base,
Right.
which means I start with a very low heat and let it heat up the entire metal. And I also use a lot of pots that have very thick bases to
Right.
disperse that.
So I normally just leave it on and then I fill the lid of the pan, I mean the pot, just to make sure it's warm. And what I'm gonna do next is put enough oil in there just to layer the bottom of the pot.
Okay.
Because once, and we don't want the oil to be too hot. We want it warm. And the way I test it normally, so ajwan is the first thing that I'm going to put.
Oil.
Yeah, yeah. So ajwan is the first thing we're going to put into the pot. But once the oil is warm, that's when we put the ajwan. So don't want to put the ajwan in the oil if it's not hot, because we want the oil to break the ajwan and unlock the aroma.
Mine
So I'm
needs
gonna
another
just
minute
pour
to
the
heat up.
oil. Go ahead, Shannon.
I just said mine needs another minute or two to heat up. Alex, while we're waiting for our oil to heat up, are there any questions?
Yeah, let me check real quick. We have one
So the
question
minute
from
he said, "Oh, no,
Talak
not
Miguel
beans
Lopez
again on a
Waterman. He
Saturday,
said,
even for office
when
hours."
we make
So I said,
beans
"Okay, I'll
in the
volunteer."
Mexican tradition, we soak for the digestive reasons. Also, when cooking beans in a sailboat while cruising,
ahead,
if you
Alex.
soak it, you have lots of
Breaking up.
you will save lots of propane. So cooking beans in a sailboat. Oh yeah, and, while
Just switch
cruising, if
the
you soak it, you will
camera,
save
the
lots
thing.
of propane.
Give me a sec,
That's
Alex.
great.
I can't hear you.
Talak.
Alex, we may need to repeat that. I think Hosmut couldn't hear and he
Yeah,
was
Hosma,
talking.
can you hear me?
No, he could not.
I can hear you now. I can
Oh,
hear you.
okay, yeah.
Yes.
This was a comment from Talak Miguel Lopez Waterman. He said, when we make beans in the Mexican tradition, we soak for the digestive reasons. Also, when cooking beans in a sailboat while cruising, if you soak, it will save lots of propane.
Answer. Good.
That's a very good tip. I also find it quite funny.
How much celery beans do we add again?
So just enough oil to layer the tablespoon to layer the bottom of the pot, not more than that.
But how much? And for the celery seeds, when we're ready to add them, what was the measurement again?
Yeah, so about a teaspoon.
About a
Alex.
teaspoon. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to test whether my oil is ready. Yeah, and if Nirali, can we show on the spot? I'm going to just show it to this iPhone. So if you can see, I'm putting a teaspoon of this ajwan. And it's kind of breaking up in the oil. I'm just going to increase the heat a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to put the dana jeera. And this is 3 teaspoons. So we're going to put 3 teaspoons of dana jeera. What about? Yeah. Shannon, are you doing okay? Have you got the ajwan
I've got
in
it.
the oil?
Yep. They are all sizzling away.
Yeah. And then you've also got the dana jeera in the pot. The next thing I'm going to do is put the curry leaves into the pot with the oil. The only thing you have to be careful that it doesn't, the oil doesn't splatter or burn. So I just normally keep the lid and then throw the thing.
And I'm sorry, did you add your dana jeera?
Yes, 3
Yes,
teaspoons
okay.
of dana jeera.
Ooh, sizzling.
Can you hear the splatter there?
All right. And then how much curry leaf? I know you said a stalk, but I've got these really big.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be any specific number. A stalk is fine.
Okay.
And then as soon as that's ready, you can see then I put the tomato into the pot as well. And I'm going to lower the heat because now it's pretty hot.
And the tomatoes are in oil. Do you get rid of that first, or do you
No,
pour it
no,
in
just
with the oil?
it's straight into the pot, Alex.
And you don't need the leaves to do anything. Do they need to brown? I mean, do they need to get a little infused, or do you just put the tomatoes right in?
Right in, yeah.
Okay.
But no
Yeah,
beans
this
yet,
is-
right? We're cooking the tomatoes.
No, we're just cooking the tomatoes first. So the curry leaves, they burn a little in the oil. And what we're going to do is allow this tomato to cook for a while, probably about 2-3 minutes or up to 5 minutes. So
Alex, were you able to find curry leaves?
I was not.
yeah, you can use bay leaves, Alex.
Yes.
Now, did you not look for them, or did you not? You just didn't find them? I'm curious if there was just not a
They were all,
location. there.
I did not find them at Whole Foods or Safeway, and I did not go into San Rafael this week.
Got it.
So
Dennis, how are you doing with the bay leaves?
These are curry leaves.
Curry
I was
leaves,
able to get
ex-
them. Yep.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
about the right
just,
amount?
Drop them in the pot with warm
Removing
oil.
the stalk, or
No, doesn't matter. You can leave it as
Okay.
it is.
right?
You
Okay.
can leave the stalks
And then add the tomato.
and then add the tomatoes. Yeah. Then
Oh,
we're
and
gonna
Dennis, you were able to find curry leaves. That's great.
then we're gonna add a teaspoon of turmeric. Okay.
teaspoon of turmeric.
Yeah.
I have to admit that since starting this, I've gotten to the habit of adding turmeric to a lot of things.
Yes. And
Since
then
starting this, I've needed to replenish my turmeric several times. I used to
Yeah.
not go through it as
salt
much,
to
and now I go
taste.
through a
I
lot.
normally take about half a teaspoon of salt, but you can always adjust the salt afterwards. No, I can't.
And Hasmukh, it might depend too on if the tomatoes had salt. Sometimes there's salt unless you get the no salt added.
Or you can add the salt afterwards, Shannon, just to, once the beans are in and once this is cooked,
Yeah,
you can just adjust your salt.
yeah. But I was just mentioning to people, be careful. Add it. Obviously adding it to taste, because some cans of tomatoes are saltier than others.
Right, got you. So now we're gonna add the green masala that we just made. All right, and we're gonna do 1/4 teaspoon. You have to be very careful with the masala. So I don't know if you can see that. So it's about 1/4 teaspoon of masala.
Okay.
And I'm going to put that into my tomato and the spices that we put into the pot.
Is this about right, Hasmo?
Yeah, that looks right, Dennis.
Right.
Yeah. Look, you mean the amount of masala, Dennis?
Yeah.
Yeah, just be very gentle because it's quite spicy and quite heat.
Sure.
So you can see my heat is a bit higher than I would like, so I'm going to lower my heat. Yeah. So what we did in summary is we put the oil to heat, and then we put the spices in, which was I always forget the ajwan, the name. So a teaspoon of ajwan. We put in 3 teaspoons of dana jeera, and then we put the curry leaves in, and then we put the tomatoes into that mixture. And once we put the tomatoes in there, then we added turmeric, and then we added the salt.
And
Then lastly, we added the masala.
okay, so I missed that. So thank you for going over everything. So
Yeah.
I missed the garam masala, right? Not the
Yeah.
green masala, but
The green masala that you
green
made?
masala. But
The
did we
green
add
masala.
garam masala yet?
No.
No,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Good.
Just the green masala, Shannon.
How much salt?
Salt, normally half a teaspoon, because again, the salt you can adjust after the beans have cooked. I think, as Shannon says, the heads up is that you may have salt in the tinned beans, so you just need to be careful, or even in the tomato. So add salt to taste, really. I'm normally gentle with the salt because, you know, I'm very aware of blood pressure problems, so I'm very, very low on salt intake.
By the way, we have
So
a
now-
comment from Talak. He says the camera game on this week for all the cooks is, or camera game is on fire this week for all the cooks. Very cool. Yeah, we're starting to figure it out.
And Alex,
So
I was going to
checked
note.
that-
I was going to note when the curry leaves are so.
I'm
Nice.
sorry, Shannon, my audio keeps cutting off.
Oh, that's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to tell Alex that the curry leaves are so nice. I'm excited for you to find them and start adding them, because they really
Yeah.
do, I think, add such a unique flavor. I mean, without it, it'll still be good, but
Yep.
it just is this really nice layer.
Yeah, no, I definitely plan to get to, in the before times I drove a lot, but now like San Rafael just seems so far away. Like it's just like,
Those 10 miles or 7
I know,
miles.
it's like,
are so far.
I don't know exactly when I can fit that into my schedule.
And I was using the curry leaves that I bought a while ago, and I just wrapped them in a paper towel and put them
Yep.
in the refrigerator. And they're a little drier. They're not quite as fresh. I mean, I can tell Dennis's are really, really green, really fresh. But
Right.
they still have a lot of life left to them, I think.
How's your tomatoes doing, Shannon?
Good. They're simmering away.
Dennis?
So, yep, they're bubbling gently.
Yep. It's gentle heat. Gentle heat is usually the trick in this part.
It is on a 1 now. It's the lowest it can go.
yeah.
Just to show you, these are the curry leaves that I got.
Oh,
They came in
okay.
a packet with, I think, 3 stems.
Very nice. And did you
Yeah.
have to go to a
No.
specialty market to find them?
Those were in my supermarket that I usually use.
That's great.
And I just order online.
What I tend to do is hold it by its stems and then pull it across so that all the leaves come off, and then sprinkle the leaves into the mix. So then I try and avoid the stalk, because once the meal is done and you serve the beans, you really want to avoid the stalk.
Yeah, I see I have this big stalk. I'm going to cut my leaves off of the stalk.
Doesn't matter.
Because you don't take them out when you serve it, right? You just you leave
No,
them
you
in.
just leave them in, yeah. We should be ready now to include the beans into our tomato mix and the spice mix. So what I'm going to do now is gently put the beans into the tomato mix. So are you ready for that, Shannon?
I'm ready.
And Alex, are you
I'm ready.
ready as well? Good. Dennis?
I am, I think.
So-
At what point do we add the garam masala?
At the end, Dennis.
Right. Okay.
Towards the end. Yeah, so we haven't touched the garam masala yet. So now we're gonna just put the beans into our tomato mix. So mine is a bit dry here. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water.
And was that the half a cup that we had reserved?
Yes.
So you just
Yeah,
add
exactly.
as needed.
Yeah, Alex, I think yours is a bit dry as well. In fact, most of us is dry. So adding a little bit of water will be helpful. I just go, the other thing I do, Shannon, is that when I'm doing the pressure cooker, I decant that pressure cooker with the soaked beans into a separate container. So instead of using fresh water, I use the water from the pressure cooker And that's what I tend to add to this mix.
Well, I saved mine, so that is great. I'm going to grab
Yeah,
it in case
yeah.
I need a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And did you add a whole half a cup
You mean of the beans?
of the
Oh,
water?
no, not water. Just titrate the water as you need, so that the mixture is not dry. It needs to be fairly liquidy.
And do you turn up the heat at all, or do you leave it where it is?
If you've added water, then you may just turn up the heat very slightly so it gets to the boil. But just be careful you don't overheat it.
I see yours, Hasmukh. It'd be great to see your
Yes.
pot, so I get a sense of it.
Here we go.
Alex, yours still looks a little dry.
More water?
Can you
I
see
would add
that, Alex?
I'm not seeing
There we go,
it.
Hasmukh.
Oh, there
Now
we
we
go.
can see.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm not that far away from what Hasmukh has. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some puddle of
Dennis, I
moisture.
think yours looks a lot like mine, kind of that consistency.
Yeah, so I haven't added any water yet. The tomatoes were fairly wet.
Yes.
So am I okay, or do you want me to add a bit more water?
Yeah, yeah. You know, at this stage when it's cooking, it's useful. Dennis, I think maybe just very little water, not much. There we go. That should be okay. And I think, Alex, yours still looks a little on the drier side. But it could help with some water. It needs to be the sauce. Right, so maybe you can see here.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
And Hasmukh, could you, if you were a person that really liked the sauce and you were going to serve this with something, could you make it? Can you adjust that liquid based on how much sauce you want to end up with?
Yes.
Or you don't want to dilute it too much?
Yeah. No, sometimes it's too dilute, and then you got too much of the sauce, and then you can't get to the beans. Too much sauce compared to the amount of beans you have. So you want enough sauce in there to have a good balance between the amount of beans you have and the sauce. And what you're doing, Shannon, is exactly what I was going to suggest, is at this stage you could taste it. And if it's a bit sour, then we can add some sweetener to it.
So what you're saying is that the sweetness is the sugar that
We've got the jaggery. Remember
jaggery? I don't have jaggery, but Dimiante had suggested or sugar, and maybe you can talk a little bit about the difference. But my tomatoes, I think, were pretty sweet. So I might add like a little bit of sugar, but it sounds like that is also subjective. It's to taste.
Yeah. Now, normally when I cook, I don't add the jaggery or sugar. And inevitably, the Minty comes and puts has a taste of it. And then she tends to put a bit of jaggery into the
And what
mixture.
is jaggery again?
It's palm sugar.
It's palm sugar,
Natural
Alex.
sugar.
Natural sugar.
Oh, okay.
It's unprocessed.
It's a part of the unprocessed, when they process sugar cane before they do the refined sugar.
Right.
It's sort of the pre-stage of that. I'm going to ask, go ahead. Yeah.
So Ayurvedically, jaggery is preferable to refined sugar because post-digestively, as they say in Ayurveda, it is heating. So anything that's warm and heating digests better compared to something cold like white refined sugar. So I tend to, if I want a sweetener, tend to use the jaggery.
And Ken Jordan asks, or adds, he said, for those that follow a paleo diet, cashew and walnuts are an excellent substitute for beans. He said, soak them overnight and use 1 tablespoon of nuts equal to 4 tablespoons of beans.
Oh, how interesting.
That's great. Ken, you need to join us. You need to start cooking with us.
Yep.
'cause-
Yes, I actually said to Ken, when are you going to join us again? Because besides cooking very well, Ken also is technically adventurous, so to speak. And I really look forward to him participating in the cook-along. Maybe next season, Ken.
Alex, that consistency looks a lot more like mine now. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not saying that mine is right, but they look alike.
But you figure out, sometimes if there's too much of a sauce, I just leave it on the stove,
Yeah.
just to continue to cook, so it evaporates the water from the sauce, and then it gets a little thicker. So the consistency of the sauce is really very personal preference. How thick you want it or how liquidy you want it. So that in essence is my half an hour cooking on a Saturday morning. And Damayanti always makes something else, Chinese or Korean food, or, so she occasionally pleases me by having little bit of beans. So normally, I don't normally drink Coke on a Saturday. I mean, normally I don't have Coke, but on a Saturday, the meal is beans, papadum, roti, and Coke. That makes my Saturday meal. And my nephew is in LA, and he also has the same meal every Saturday. And then I showed him a image many years ago. I said, are you not missing your Saturday beans and papadum and roti and Coke? So we all come from a little town called Uitenhage. So he said to me, you can take a gadget out of Uitenhage, but you can never take Uitenhage out of a gadget, because all the gadgets across the globe have sugar beans on a Saturday. So Damayanti thought that since I am very familiar with cooking the beans, I hope you didn't mind me being the guest cook. So I really enjoyed that, Alex. And on this side of the camera, it's a hell of a lot of tough. I'd rather be pressing the ATM switches than to be on the side of the stove.
You did a great job.
It was great.
Yeah,
One question, Hasmukh, we did not add the garam masala.
Yeah.
Should we add that?
Yeah, that's the last that we're gonna do, and
Okay.
and then that's coriander, is it right?
And
Yeah,
how much again of the garam masala?
Half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon.
So I'm gonna add the coriander as well, Shannon and Alex and Dennis. So the coriander, Damayanti chopped for me. So my knife skills are not as good as hers.
And how much coriander again?
Doesn't matter.
It
Tablespoon.
doesn't matter,
Tablespoon.
tablespoon, Alex. That should be enough.
Now, do you add it typically to the pot, or if you're serving it in a bowl, do you
No,
sprinkle it on
you
top?
add it to the
Doesn't
pot.
matter.
You add it to the-
Shannon, you can do either or.
Okay.
If you want, I mean, it looks quite pretty when you put it into a serving dish and sprinkle it's like obviously like the garnish. And now did you add the garam masala?
Not yet.
Okay, half a teaspoon of garam masala.
So that's the last spice we're gonna add to our bean subsea.
We can
So half
also,
a-
Damayanti, you could add it at the very end to I think if I put it in a bowl, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of cilantro on top of it, just
Yes.
as a
Yes.
final
Yes.
touch.
It
Yes,
will
you can
look,
do that.
it will look good.
And sorry to interrupt you, Hasmukh, you were saying one more
No.
thing.
Go ahead. Well, I don't normally plate the way Damayanti does, so I just shove it in the pot.
Not shove it.
I shouldn't say shove it. Clean show, Alex. Clean show. So Damayanti will now take over. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you,
great.
Hosmuk.
I should do a taste check and see if it's good.
Yeah, we usually taste all together at the end, but I feel like with this, I need to know if I need to adjust the seasonings.
Yeah, and taste and see. Actually, it's very good.
Wow, just that quarter of a teaspoon of the green masala, you can really taste that spice. It is quite strong. It's
That's
the
why I
perfect
said
amount.
rather be careful about the amount you put. You
Yeah.
can at this stage, if you felt that there wasn't enough of a kick, you could add it in, but just make sure you sort of simmer it through so that it has an even cook through it.
Yeah.
So it was half a teaspoon of garam masala, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I picked my coriander directly off the plant that I was able to get at the supermarket.
Love. Okay. You've got coriander growing in your garden?
No,
pot?
I bought it from the supermarket in a pot.
Oh, in a pot. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, here
Very
it is.
fresh.
I've gotten into the habit of buying those, and I do like to, you can in one of the local markets is easy to get bay leaf or not bay, basil.
Basil.
I have so much. Anyway, yeah, I have. There's a lot of them you can get now. Mint is another one that's rosemary, but I have bushes and bushes of rosemary outside, so I usually just go outside to get that.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Let me check to see if there's any more questions here. We've got a couple more comments. Well, a comment and a question. Oh no, I'm sorry. Just another question. From Talak, he asks, what do you use to be the other side of the flavor profile opposite the spice of the peppers?
You mean in the masala?
I think so. I think opposite of the spice of the peppers or in the meal. But it says, what do you use to be the other side of the flavor profile opposite the spice of the peppers?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I think that's kind of the way I read that is that's a little bit of the garlic and the so the garlic and the oil and the the other piece
It kind of balances it out.
yeah, kind of balances that out. I definitely
Ginger's
felt like it
spicy.
balances it. Yeah.
Garlic's a little sweet.
I was wondering if he was asking whether one could use other types of peppers. I don't know if that's the.
I think it's just the other side, kind of the yin to the yang,
Yes.
And I feel like the ginger and the garlic kind of even that out a little bit.
Definitely. If that's the question, it's the ginger and garlic that gives the balance. I often feel that when you're eating a meal and it is curry, I don't want to be tasting the chili necessarily. That's not the most important taste. I want to, like in this case, you want to be tasting the coriander, the cumin, the garlic, the ginger, those sort of aromatic flavors in the garam masala. For me, that's more important than having this chili hit your mouth.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's those layers of flavors that make the taste sensation so interesting. For me, that's important.
And I find that a lot of the recipes that we've made, you do a really good job of that. It's
Thanks,
you really
Shannon.
taste the layers. It's very there's a lot of harmony in the flavors and not just one hitting you over,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a balance. And I'm sort of quite, I think, passionate about the fact that you need to balance your flavors. And I think that this whole journey of learning how to use spices is important because sometimes you think that if you add certain spices to your food, it becomes very strong or hot. But if used properly, they offer amazing flavor besides all the health benefits that they offer.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Damayanti, so you want to tell us a little bit about what else you would serve this with? I know what Hasmukh,
That's-
I know that what Hasmukh eats every Saturday, but what else can you suggest?
So I plated up some yogurt, rice, cooked rice, and beans because that also works very well. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the bunny chow that we have in South Africa. Somebody asked about how has South Africa influenced my cooking. So South Africa is famous for something called bunny chow. It's quite interesting. So what they do is they take a quarter loaf of bread, but you must have crust on either side, on all four sides and the bottom. You dig out the soft part of the bread, and then you place the beans in there. And then you put salad on it, and then you use the crust to scoop up the bunny chow and eat it. It's a very traditional Natal, more a Durban dish, but now it's available everywhere. And I see that restaurants are now doing it quite innovatively. Because the bread, if you're using a quarter loaf of bread, it's quite a bit of starch. So now when I've served it, I've taken a bun, just a regular bun, scooped up the inside, put the beans in their salad, and it's much more presentable and easier to eat. But basically, I would serve it with rice or yogurt, some kind of flatbread, and with wraps, they're delicious. So you would do it in a wrap with some salad and cheese. And actually, there's something that we do. I don't know if you're familiar with the jaffle iron. Do you familiar?
No.
It's a cast iron mold. So you put your bread in there, like a mold, and then you put your beans in there with salad and cheese, close it, and you put it on a burner.
Huh.
And it gets all crusty outside with the soft filling on the inside. And that's also quite delicious.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that sounds really good. It sounds like Hasmukh is going to show us.
Yes, so this is what it looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
So you put your
Wow.
bread in there, and then you compress it, and then you just put it on a gas burner, and then the outside of the bread gets actually so nice and crunchy,
Right.
and then you have this filling.
So normally you put the butter on
Yeah, you have to
the
butter the outside of the
outside of
bread.
the bread.
What is it called again?
A jaffle maker, Jaffle,
Jaffle
But-
maker.
if you put
So
that,
it's-
if you put that in the Discord, we can all
Yeah.
remember that.
So
Yeah, we put it in the.
go ahead, Dennis.
It sounds a bit like a sandwich toaster.
Yes,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
much
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Very much.
So you butter the bread. So you put the buttered bread side here on either side, and you put your beans, and then you close it, and then with the pressure.
It
you know what?
compresses. It compresses.
Then we normally put it on a gas stove.
Yep.
And put it on heat, and you just flip on either side. You open slightly to make sure it's toasted, and then once it's toasted and done, you just pop it off on your plate, let it cool down a little bit, slice it in half, and then you got your beans and jaffle.
Sounds great.
Fun, something to try.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex, before we get going, are there any other questions before we wrap it up? Oh, we haven't tasted yet. We have to do our taste, but
You
Nope,
can
nope,
taste it.
that's all the comments and questions so far.
Great. That's what you're gonna
I did
taste.
taste it. I did taste it.
Alex,
yeah.
did you taste it yet?
I'm tasting it right now.
I'm doing my final taste here. I tasted it along the way to make sure the season was correct.
It's awesome.
He is gonna say
Of
that.
course, it's awesome. Papadum goes very well with beans.
Mm-hmm.
So papadum and
really good.
beans.
And just remember, you can swap the beans for chickpea or any of the other beans or lentils, and it will still work with the same recipe. And for variation, today we added the garam masala right at the end, and that's the way it's commonly used. But if you wanted to change the flavor profile a little, when you added right at the beginning, when Hasmukh did he heated the oil, he added the celery seed, he added the dana jeera, the curry leaves. You could add a half a teaspoon of garam masala in there and then add your tomato. And it's amazing how different the garam masala tastes when you do that. instead
Right.
of right at the end. So just for a variation, you can even try it like
Because
that.
that's going to toast everything then, right?
Yes.
So it's going to be a
Yes.
little more aromatic.
Yes, yes.
Well, that was delicious. All
Cool.
right. I think we might be done for today. And Dimiante, we're not going to see you for a couple weeks, I think,
Yep.
at least.
Yep, yes.
And then we'll be back for hopefully round 2.
Yeah.
And looking forward to cooking more out of your book. And it certainly was fun. And I just want to say to everyone, try some of these recipes. If you haven't tried them, they're just good. They're just really, really good.
And come
thank you
join
for
us.
sharing them.
I'm glad that Dennis was able to come join us. It was great to have you, Dennis.
It
Yes,
was
it's been
fantastic.
good fun.
Dennis, are you going
There's
to join us?
something really fun about
Join
doing
us
it
next
together.
time too.
I will do my best.
Excellent.
Yeah, there's something really fun about doing it, and it gets you to do it. You know, I think there's something about like having a workout partner. These are like cooking partners. So we get up here, and it's sometimes hard to get over the hump to cook something new, and it's just really great to learn and get better. And
All right.
end up with really good food at the end.
I couldn't believe that we've done 10 of these. I counted today.
When
And I
you
thought
said that,
it
I was like,
started-
that's impossible.
Yeah, I was thinking we just started with us, we're going to do corn fritters. And I thought, we're doing corn fritters and that's it. But I mean, here we are 10 times later. But it's been fun for me. So thank you, everybody. And a great learning experience on my part doing things remotely. So
Thank you.
Yep,
Absolutely.
pleasure.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
everybody. And
Okay.
Tony,
Thanks,
go ahead
everyone.
and stop the live stream.